St. John's Gospel, chapter 13. Jesus washes the feet of his disciples, verses 1 to 11. It was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that his time had come to leave the world and go to the Father. Even so, he loved his own, who had to remain in the world, and continued to love them right until the very end. By supper, the devil had already planted in the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, the idea of betraying Jesus. For his part, Jesus knew that the Father had given him authority over all things, and that he had come from God and was now returning to him. So he gets up after supper, takes off his outer garment, and fetching a towel, he tied it around his waist. Then he pours water into a wash basin and begins to wash his disciples' feet and to dry them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He comes to Simon Peter, who exclaims, "Master, surely you're not going to wash my feet, are you?" Jesus said, "You don't grasp what I'm doing now, but you will in time." "Absolutely not," says Peter. "On no account will you ever wash my feet." Jesus replied, "You will have no share in my life unless I wash you." "In that case, Master," says Peter, "do my hands and my head, not just my feet." "All who have washed themselves," says Jesus, "only need to bathe their feet, for they're clean all over. You're clean, but not all of you," because he knew who was going to betray him. Jesus teaches in the upper room, verses 12 to 20. When he had finished washing their feet, he took his garments and sat down again. "Do you understand what I've just done for you all? You call me teacher and master, and rightly so, for that's what I am. So if I, your master and teacher, have washed your feet, you should make a habit of washing each other's feet. I've given you an example to follow, so that what I've done, you should do as well. I tell you, no servant's greater than his master, nor is the messenger greater than the one who sent him. If you know all this and put it into practice, you'll be blessed. I don't speak of you all, though. I know who I've chosen, but in order that the scripture might be fulfilled. The one who eats my bread has kicked me in the teeth. I'm telling you these things now before it happens, so that when it does come about, you'll believe that I am who I claim to be. Be assured, whoever receives my messengers receives me, and whoever receives me receives the one who sent me." Jesus reveals the betrayer, verses 21 to 32. After he had said these things, Jesus was greatly distraught and said, "One of you is about to betray me." The disciples began to look at one another, bewildered as to who it might be. One of them, Jesus' closest friend, was reclining next to him. So Simon Peter signals to him to ask Jesus who it was he was speaking about. Leaning over to Jesus, he asked, "Master, who is it?" Jesus replies, "It's the one I give this piece of bread to after I've dipped it in the dish." So after he had dipped the piece of bread, he gives it to Judas Iscariot, Simon's son. As Judas took the piece of bread, Satan overwhelmed him. Jesus says to him, "What you intend to do, do quickly." Nobody at the meal knew why he had said this to him. Since Judas was in control of the funds, some of them thought Jesus was telling him to buy provisions for the festival or to give something to the poor. The instant Judas took the piece of bread, he went out. It was night. When he had gone, Jesus says, "The Son of Man's just been glorified, and God's been glorified in him. And if God's glorified in him, he'll glorify the Son in himself without delay." Love one another, verses 33 to 35. My dear children, I'll only be with you for a short time. You look for me, and as I told the Jews, so now I say to you, where I'm going, you cannot come. So I give you a new commandment, that you should love each other. Just as I've loved you, so you also should love each other. In this way, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you've love for each other. Simon Peter says, "Where are you going, Master?" Jesus says, "Where I'm going, you can't follow me right now, but you will later." Peter says, "Master, why can't I follow you now? I'll sacrifice my life for you." Says Jesus, "Will you really sacrifice your life for me?" The truth is, the rooster won't crow until you've denied me 3 times. That's my reading of St. John's Gospel in my publication of St. John's Gospel, a lawyer's translation from the original Greek. It's published by Matador. You can get it on Amazon or Kindle. All profits are going to Christian charity.